And welcome to another episode of the Backyard Sports Talk. I am Reid Jaco, and
I'm Danny Jacob.
good to be back with podcast episode number 11. And we are officially less than a week from Backlash. So this is Backlash week, and we ended up getting some big WWE news this week. And I tell you what, I think it's been a while since the WWE has went on this big tangent of releasing people, and they released some questionable people, if you ask myself. Of course, it's all possible, a couple of these people could return in the future or go somewhere else and possibly make their return. But a couple of ones who were named in the release was Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, Braun Strowman, Caden Carter, Katina Chance, Cora Jade, Gigi Dolan, Eddie Thorpe, Jakara Jackson have been among the ones released by WWE per Fight Select and PW Insider. So what are your initial thoughts from these releases?
They do it every year after WrestleMania. Always have. Even going back to the Vince days.
Okay, not so much of the release, but the names that were released. Dakota Kai was just involved in a big title run for one of the mid-card belts not even 3 months ago.
Yeah, but even when Vince was still there, remember they went on this big push with Braun Strowman and he wrestled Gold, or who was he wrestling? Wasn't Goldberg. Brock Lesnar.
Oh, okay, yeah, when he wrestled Brock.
Yes, and then it was just a short time. Just a short time after that, when they did this release next year, just within that year, he was released.
But then he come back
a year or two later, yes.
Yes. So, but after this release, Braun Strowman says in a interview, or it was a post on social media, there wasn't a lot of clarity where this was.
Oh, Braun got gone this time too?
Yes, he says that he might just retire.
He's not very old. I don't understand why they can't find a place for him. I do not get it.
He's a big boy, and you could put a really good storyline with him. I don't understand, and I'll be honest with you, we haven't saw much of him, I haven't, because I've been really faithful to wrestling again probably since, I'm going to say, October, and I have not seen much of Braun.
I don't think they ever felt like that he was over enough to go very far with him. I think they tried that. Was it with Brock or was it with, I guess it was with Brock or Roman. I think it's Brock they had that big push for him. He wrestled for the title and all that.
I think it was with Brock.
And I'm guessing that maybe it didn't. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't over. Maybe they wouldn't pulling no money from him. I don't know. Maybe his merchandise and everything wasn't.
Maybe so, but I tell you what. Of course, I mean, I want to go on the whole thing of what our buddy Cornette says. The booking is terrible over on the other side in AEW. But if AEW wants to sell a little more, bring him over and have him come in and try to go with Jon Moxley for a title run.
Yeah.
Because I still think he's got a good title run left in him.
I would, probably the first thing he's going to be afraid of is that they ruined Braun Strowman. But I think he could get him back, get his fans back, get him.
I think so.
He probably wasn't over as good as somebody like Roman was, but somebody could get him over.
Absolutely. A couple of people like Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, and Cora Jade, those three ladies really surprised me on their release. Like I said, Shayna Baszler was, I believe she was in the Royal Rumble. And maybe even Cora Jade and Dakota Kai, but Dakota Kai just had a big run trying to go with the. She was in the big tournament for one of the mid card belts.
Probably the one that surprises me more on that whole list is Shayna Baszler. Braun Strowman would have surprised me if this hadn't happened before, but she surprises me.
It's definitely interesting. Now, what I'm questioning and what me and my buddies have questioned for probably going back 3 weeks now or even longer. Why haven't we heard anything about a draft? Are they going to draft this time? Are they going to get away from the what's the word I'm looking for? I know I can see it in my mind. The brand splits.
Well,
Are they going to draft sometime after? Are we going to get news after Backlash? Like we're already like 3 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks from WrestleMania. We still haven't heard anything about a draft.
that's a good point. I don't know. You and I talked about that here a while back one day, but I would assume that they would have a draft, but nothing's been mentioned, has it?
It hasn't. And most of the drafts have taken place after WrestleMania, except for a couple of times they've taken place in June, and a couple of times they've taken place in October. But you would think that right now that after WrestleMania would have been the perfect time to do some kind of draft.
Right now, you would think, a couple weeks after WrestleMania, and then do it. But nothing's happened yet.
Right. Definitely interesting to see. We'll see how it goes forward. There's we could go on and break down everything that happened at WWE this week, but I'll be honest with you, I slacked this week. I did not watch Raw nor SmackDown. It was a long, grueling week for me. I actually had a family member in the hospital this week, so I was back and forth to the hospital multiple days this week, so I did not get a chance to watch the shows.
I didn't either. The schedule got in the way.
So with my schedule and everything going on, it was just a crazy week. But right now, the current card for Backlash is looking pretty memorable. This will be I guess this will be your first wrestling show too, won't it?
No, I went to television taping in Cape Girardeau one time.
Okay.
I think it was Wrestling Challenge. There was WWF Wrestling Challenge.
So this will be my first actual wrestling event, and this is looking to be a memorable one. The matches that are on hand so far is Cena versus Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship, a Pat McAfee versus Gunther singles match, and a Fatal 4-Way versus Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre for the United States Championship.
Well, I think the Pat McAfee and Gunther is more of a gimmick than it is actually a match.
I can agree with that.
Pat McAfee is not. I mean, yeah, he stood in the ring and challenged against Vince and everything, but still not with Gunther. He's not in that kind of a league. So I don't know.
He wrestled back in 2019, but you're talking that's what 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, wasn't it against Vince?
No, it was an actual match. I don't remember who he.
I thought it was he and Vince actually had a match.
I don't remember who he wrestled, but no, he actually had an actual match.
Okay, but anyway, all right. But I just don't see him going up against. I don't see him going up against Gunther. I just don't see that, but maybe so.
It'll be interesting, how that all plays out. But I tell you what, the two biggest matches that I'm interested in is Cena and Orton, and then the Fatal 4-Way. And I was really hoping to see the whole Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, CM Punk, and Reigns feud kind of do something here at Backlash. Of course, something could happen tomorrow night at or wherever you may be, whenever you may be listening to this, at Raw, and set something up. just because I'm a what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Anyway, I'm one of those fans that I want to see that.
Right.
So, and we may get that, we may not. Probably not gonna get it, but selfish. That's the word I was looking for. I'm a selfish fan, and I want to see that.
Right.
At the match, the pay-per-view that I'm gonna be at. So
we're all spoiled fans, aren't we?
I think to a certain extent, I think we're all
I think so.
But this was hot off the press. I don't know how old it was, but hot off the press for me anyway. My Twitter feed was, or X, formerly known as Twitter, was blowing up this afternoon that Becky Lynch is, what will she say on her promo before her Backlash match first, Lyra Valkyria. I have trouble with her last name.
Hard.
Anyway, so, we really didn't get any direction, I don't think, of why she ended up turning heel and going. So, I mean, do you think she'll let us know or just not even care?
She ain't gonna care.
It's definitely going to be an interesting gimmick, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. A big week in wrestling. I'm going to try to.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch.
I'm going to try to definitely get back. I think my Friday night is clear, and I'm going to try to get back and watch SmackDown, just because that's going to be the show right before we're going to be there.
Right.
And I'm going to, if there's any last minute, hoorahs or promos that I need to see or be aware of,
know about it.
I need to know. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and move on here to some MLB news. And yes, what I'm about to tell you, this is MLB, so don't start freaking out when I say some of these words here. All right, so last week the Texas Rangers GM Chris Young sounded like an executive losing patience with his struggling offense. He has begun to shake up his roster. First baseman Jake Berger was optioned to AAA on Friday. Then on Sunday, offensive coordinator Donnie Ecker was fired, and center fielder Leody Taveras was placed on outright waivers, reports.
Why we got offensive coordinator?
I don't know that. I'll be honest with you. I've been a baseball fan my entire life, and that is the first time I've ever heard anything with baseball reported to an offensive coordinator.
That had to be a misprint.
It's everywhere. I mean, I've seen it 2 or 3 different places.
I've never heard them call coordinators before. That's the first time you ever saw that before?
No, like I said, I've been a baseball fan literally my entire life, and I have never seen that. So I kind of thought it was interesting. And,
who's Donnie Ecker? Did you know him?
I didn't know him just because I don't follow the Rangers that close.
What was he? What kind of a coach was he?
He was an offensive coordinator. I assume he was
field coach
in the back part of their hitting room. I'm assuming that's what they mean by offensive coordinator. Because if it would have been hitting coach, they would have obviously said hitting coach. But they have many different coaches in the backside of things that we don't even see.
It's not even out on the front.
Right, that's not even out there on the front line. So, I mean, his actual title could have been offensive coordinator. Because I remember back when Dusty Baker was hired with Houston, he brought in one of his guys that he had literally everywhere he'd been, and he called him like a nutrition and conditioning coach or something.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys already had those, personally. I mean, he he had him on there on his staff because he wanted him on his staff.
Right.
So, I mean, a lot of these guys, these guys will have, titles and stuff. Just, they play crucial roles. I'm not saying that they don't.
Right.
But, their titles may not reflect exactly what they do. And this guy here, offensive coordinator, he may be part of their analytics crew. You've heard that term analytics for quite some time now. So, that he may have been part of that analytics crew that, that runs the offense.
Right.
So that's
every team's involved in that now.
Right. So that's what they could mean by offensive coordinator.
They should have made a few teams not do it and see how that changed their.
Well, I mean, Houston started it out, really big in 2017, and yes, the cheating scandal happened, but they won 60 road games,
right?
And they didn't cheat on the road, but right. At the end of the day, analytics can be good and analytics can be bad.
You just can't let them take over the game.
Correct. All right, so speaking of the Astros, Lance McCullers Jr. back into the league. He comes in and he pitches 3 2/3 scoreless innings for the Astros for the first time since the 2022 World Series. He had a Tommy John surgery and he had shoulder surgery after the 2022 World Series. He had been out since, and he had a long recovery road ahead of him. But he finally got it back, and he is back in the league. Glad to see him back. He has pitched very well in the minor leagues over the last 3 months or so. Actually, not 3 months, but 2 months. Because I don't think he actually pitched any Major League spring training games. I think they were mainly all AAA spring training games.
But he's back in business now.
He's back in business and ready to go. And he looked good for 3 2/3 innings. They're really doing work trying to keep him limited of how many pitches he actually throws, and kind of keeping everything light so far. Because they don't want to hurt that shoulder, that elbow, and work his stamina back up.
Lose a lot of strength in that arm.
Oh yeah.
They got to get it back, I guess. I bet it
Absolutely.
I bet it hurts at first when they're throwing.
Absolutely. So this happened a couple of days ago. I don't know if you have saw anything about this, but this was a scary situation. A Pirates fan fell 21 feet.
I heard something about that.
Off the wall.
How?
I couldn't tell you. I just saw the reports of where he had fell, but the good news is that the Pirates fan is awake and alert, but he still has a long road ahead of him. But it's good that he is awake and alert.
Young guy?
I don't know for sure. I want to say so, but don't quote me on that. I know my information on this is not too good. Like I said, crazy week. I just saw a headline of this and wanted to go ahead and mention the podcast. But, like I said, the good news is that he is awake and alert. But we'll see how he goes over his recovery. I'm sure.
It's a long fall on concrete.
It is. Actually, I don't know for certain, but I think he actually fell into the field. So I don't know if it was actually onto concrete, but actually to straight ground. But still, you fall 21 feet. That's a long way. That's a long way to fall.
I hope it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't concrete. Concrete would have probably killed him.
Right. All right. So moving to the West Coast, the Dodgers are gonna getting a little antsy. Their third base / first base / DH / wherever you can fit him, Max Muncy is kind of struggling. He's hitting only 184 so far, but that raises the question: do the Dodgers go after Nolan Arenado at the deadline? Max Muncy mainly plays third base since Freddie Freeman signed with LA. And the latest report said Dodgers get Nolan Arenado trade update after Max Muncy admission. So the St. Louis Cardinals might get another phone call just a year after they just sold one of their best utility players to the Dodgers. So, I mean, in this
Muncy?
In this particular, Nolan Arenado.
Oh, okay.
Is a Cardinal.
Okay, yeah.
Would probably be that pick. And he's probably, if, Cardinals continue to struggle and, go down the path that everybody thinks they're going to.
Path of losing?
Yes. They're probably going to want to sell at the deadline. And this would probably be the best opportunity to get rid of that Nolan Arenado contract. And with selling to the Dodgers, you could probably get out of a lot more of that money than you could if you traded Nolan Arenado to a Boston or a Houston or a Detroit or somewhere like that. It was rumored that that was talking to the Cardinals earlier in the offseason. Oh. But we will definitely keep you updated on that Nolan Arenado saga over the summer as it develops, as the trade deadline approaches on July 31st at, I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll see if he ends up a St. Louis Cardinal that night or a Dodger or somewhere else. Moving on to an interesting franchise record ball game in Baltimore. Two teams, the Baltimore Orioles and the Kansas City Royals, combined for 11 home runs and a franchise record 7 for the Kansas City Royals and 4 from Baltimore before the Royals eventually held on for an 11-6 victory to take set a rematch from last year's American League Wild Card Series.
No, that was crazy, wasn't it?
Was really crazy. Had a lot going on in that game. So, quickly moving on here, Mackenzie Gore, and, this guy just continues to throw heat. He was involved in the original Juan Soto trade from San Diego.
But did he come on strong before this year, any?
Who, Gore?
Yeah.
Gore had really struggled with his ERA in previous years.
He's a young guy, isn't he?
Yes, but he has really come on with the strikeouts this year. So Gore, who leads MLB with 68 strikeouts, allowed 4 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, and struck out 9 across 5 innings in his 8th start of the season. He gave up a second-inning home run to Tyler Stevenson before retiring the next 7 batters.
Wow.
So he is doing electric stuff in the American League East, and I would love to see him to start the National League Wild Card, not National League Wild Card, the National League All-Star Game.
Right. Because
that is an electric performance that we've seen so far. He's done phenomenal. He, like they said, he's leading in strikeouts, and that's what we need in today's game.
He'd do that all year. Or do that the rest of his career.
Oh, he did that all year. I mean, he would definitely be.
I said if he did it the rest of his career, he'd be
it would definitely be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going to look up his season stats because, he has really, really done good this year. But, sadly, with the team he's on, the team's not that good. So this year, in 2025, he has 2-3 with... No, this is not even showing his 8th start of the year, I don't think. Because, yeah, he's got 8 starts. So let's see if I can find his 8th start somewhere. Let's go here. They should be able to show his 8th start. I'm just curious to see what his stats are. Okay, so may not be able to show here. Okay, no, here it is. All right, so in 8 starts, he is 2-3 with a 3.33 ERA.
His record just 2-3?
Yes.
All right, keep going.
So what the ERA is for every 9 innings he pitches, he allows 3.3 runs a game.
It's based on 9 innings.
Based on 9 innings.
Based on 9 innings.
Yes. This is through 46 innings so far. He has struck out 68 batters, and his opponent average is 235.
Wow.
And his whip, his walks per innings pitched, is 1.15.
Is he big kid or?
He's 6'2", 193 pounds.
Pretty good size.
Yes.
Where's he from?
Like, born?
Yeah, where's he raised?
North Carolina.
You go to North Carolina school?
Yes. Alright, so...
When's he going to be a free agent?
See, he's only got 1, 2, 3, 5, 4 years in the league, so he still has a couple of years left till he's a non-free agent or a free agent. But I mean, if everything works out for him like it should, he should definitely make some money. So he's got 2 years of arbitration left, and then he'll be a UFA in 2028. All right, so the current standings in the American League East. The New York Yankees are 19-15 in first place. And in second place at 500 is the Boston Red Sox at 18-18. The Tampa Bay Rays at 16-18 is in third place. Tied for third place / fourth place is the Toronto Blue Jays at 16-18. And rounding out last place, which is kind of a surprise to me, but it's still early on. They could change it. You know, the month of May and June will say a lot about a team. Is the Baltimore Orioles at 13-20. The American League Central is the Detroit Tigers at 22-13. Second place is the Cleveland Guardians at 20-14. The Kansas City Royals at 19-16. And the Minnesota Twins in fourth place at 15-20. And in last place, with the best City Connect jerseys out there, at 10-24 is the Chicago White Sox. And
wasn't it last year they had a good season?
The White Sox? No, they lost like 125 games last year. They haven't had a good season since 2021.
Okay. My bad.
And in American League West, in first place at 20-13 is the Seattle Mariners. And in second place, just known as the Athletics, they don't have a city name, is at 19-16. And in third place is the Houston Astros at 17-16. And in fourth place, a furious Texas Rangers at 17-18.
Wow.
And
tight.
A struggling team at 13-20, rounding out the list, is the Los Angeles Angels.
Well, that's pretty tight, though, ain't it?
It is extremely tight. Moving on to the National League. The National League East. In first place is the New York Mets at 22-13. In second place is the Philadelphia Phillies at 19-15. A surprising third place candidate at 16-19, the Washington Nationals. And a struggling fourth place Atlanta Braves at 15-18, who has not really as struggled as in the last 10 games at 6-4 over the last 10, as they were struggling in the first part of the season. And rounding out the last team in the National League East is the Miami Marlins at 13-20.
Well, a lot of them's really close, aren't they? The top 3 spots.
Yes. In the National League Central, first place is the Chicago Cubs at 21-14. In second place is the Cincinnati Reds at 18-17. Third place is the Milwaukee Brewers at 17-18. And third place is the St. Louis Cardinals at 16-19. And rounding out the list with probably the best pitchers this generation has seen, and Paul Skeens at 12-23. In the National League West, this is a tight one here. The Dodgers in first place at 23-11. The San Diego Padres in second place at 22-11.
Wow.
Third place is the San Francisco Giants at 22-13.
Holy mackerel.
The Arizona Diamondbacks at 18-16. And rounding out the list at a miserable 6-28 is the Colorado Rockies.
Oh my gosh, 6-28. That's the worst record in baseball, ain't it?
Yes. Everybody. All right, now we're back. We're going to start with some NFL news. We got some trade rumors. I think we've got going on here potentially, maybe.
There's all kinds of trade rumors coming out of New England, and there's trade rumors that the Patriots are interested in Christian McCaffrey. I can't imagine they would have to give up half their roster for them to give up McCaffrey. But I don't know. We'll see. There's all kinds of trade rumors going around. A lot of small loose ends tied up. Guys get picked up off waivers.
Nothing concrete on the McCaffrey. It's just
concrete.
rambled.
Yeah, and I would be totally shocked if it is. The more I think about it, but as of yet, it's just nothing but rumors.
All right, sounds good. So, what is this Belichick versus CBS interview?
Did you not see any of that?
I guess I didn't. I'll have to go watch that.
Interviewed, and they, he was kind of warming up, and they asked him a question about his girlfriend.
The one that's like 30 years younger than him?
And all of a sudden, she spoke up out of nowhere and was sitting to the side and said, "We're not discussing that here." And they put the camera on her.
Oh, really?
So they're making a huge deal. Now they're saying that it looks bad for the team because it looks like Bill's lost control because his girlfriend spoke out. Will he be able to control the team? And there's all kinds of ridiculous stuff like that.
Same old media crap that happens with everybody.
Looks like they would be interested in concentrating on the Tar Heels a little bit more in depth and not just focus on the head coach all the time.
Right.
But anyway, that's kind of going on.
Here's a spotlight. This is the most media coverage the Tar Heels gotten in my entire lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. The most they've got in the last 25 years, probably.
My entire lifetime.
Yes, you're right. You're very right. But
hey, real quick here. I mean, this is going to be a short podcast. Other than I'm going to go through I'm finally going to go through my AEW and WWE ratings today.
Okay, good deal.
Pittsburgh is going to host next year's draft.
Oh, really?
Yes. And then this is hot off the press. And this literally just come off the news network as soon as we sat down to record. The 2027 draft location has been set for Washington.
Washington as in?
Washington, D.C.
Okay.
The only Washington with a team. Well, I mean, I guess technically
Seahawks is more
Seattle,
yeah.
but Washington is like
Right, okay,
like the Redskins.
Yeah, I got it.
Technically, not even the. I don't care. I'm still gonna call them the Redskins.
Yeah, me too. Where was it this year? Indianapolis.
Green Bay, wasn't it? I think it was in Green Bay.
I thought it was in Indianapolis.
I'm gonna have to look that up because I thought it was in Green Bay. Let's see, 2025 NFL draft.
Maybe it was.
Oh, Lambeau Field. Let's go. Look who's right. Look who's wrong.
I was thinking of something else.
So then next year is going to be in Pittsburgh. And then, I mean, it's so fresh, they don't even have it on the Wikipedia page. Check that out.
Wow,
we beat Wikipedia. Jinx. Check that out. But yeah, I saw that on our local news channel. You know, thought I'd go ahead and draft it on there. But thought that was kind of interesting. So finally, what I'm going to get to...
That pretty much wraps up all the NFL stuff.
This pretty much wraps up everything. What I'm going to do now is I am using a website called WrestleNomics.com / this is the TV ratings. And this has been over the last couple of months, and this is mainly, this is going back a while. But, so, let's just use this. So, the first quarter of 2025, which is obviously, we're still kind of in the first quarter of 2025. So, the average...
Well, we're not now, but...
we're not. It's ended in March, didn't it?
April. January. Yeah, March. End of March.
Right. All right, so, the first quarter... So first quarter is over. So the average viewership for a AEW Collision was 334,000. A average for a AEW Dynamite was 618,000. A NXT was 760,000, and for SmackDown was like well over 1 million. It was 1.5 million. And in fact, Raw is not even on this list for the first quarter and 2 quarters because they are on Netflix. So we go over to Netflix and we see data from Netflix, and we search just kind of the viewerships from Netflix so far, and we can look at each week from Netflix going until now. And so let's see if we can get, say, like,
You need to post that website. That's kind of interesting.
So for the last couple of weeks, 3.6, 2.9, 2.8, 2.9, 3, 3.1, 3.0, 3.1, 2.6, 2.8, 2.8. That's going from all the way from the end of April all the way up until February. In the first round of WWE Raw on Netflix, it gained 5.89 million global views. Now these are global views because with this new Raw and WWE and Netflix deal, Raw is actually a globalized viewership now, so it don't have the same type of ratings as it like you would view like this we viewed the SmackDown earlier, and we viewed the Collision and the Dynamite on the AEW side of things. But the point I'm getting at is if you just take time right before WWE turned over from Netflix to Netflix at the end of the fourth quarter of 2024, they were drawing 1.5 million on USA. But the Dynamite was only grossing 610,000. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, that tells you a lot right there.
So that's kind of what I wanted to go with. And over the last couple of years, and this graph here goes all the way back to the third quarter of 2020. Dynamite peaked the third quarter of 2021 at 1.1 million. And that was the highest that they went. They peaked and then they went down back up to 1 million, and they slowly went down from there, and they are continuing to slowly go down.
It makes you wonder
to the current second quarter stats are 600,000.
It makes you wonder how the network is affording to pay them that big contract.
It really makes you wonder.
The advertising must be good, is all I know.
And that I'm just trying to go off their what I can consider their biggest show, because Rampage, it's going down, and we don't have stats from the first two quarters of 2025, but the stats from the fourth quarter of 2024, they were at 229,000, and the current stats at Collision are 395,000.
Well, there's nobody's got ratings. Now I know this is ridiculous low, but there's nobody has ratings what they used to have 20 years ago before the internet really got popular. If you go back, look at what WCW and WWE was both doing each week with the show at the same time. They was doing 2 to 4 million, 2 to 4.
Right.
Even more than that sometimes each.
Yes.
And at this day and time, there's so much news and information that comes across here, highlights.
Yes.
So, I think that's my thought on how, because here's the thing, if you miss it, watch it when you get in. It wasn't like that with Raw and Nitro back in the old day, in the late 90s. You had to be there. Now, they did have VCRs you could set to record, but you had to be there, and people would turn out in big numbers. But you don't see those big numbers on anything, Super Bowl or something, but, World Series nights, things like that.
So, I'm looking here.
The internet has changed TV.
Oh, absolutely. So, I'm trying to find here. I don't know if it'll give me exactly what I want. But, the tickets, I don't want to know the tickets. So, no, that's not what I want. Anyway, so that's what I'm kind of getting at here is it just the AEW is failing.
Yes.
And they are going to continue to fail until they do something.
Nobody needs to call this a war between the two of them.
This is not a war.
This is not a war.
This is not a war.
The war was with WCW and WWE. That was a war. This is not a war. WWE, they're not even a threat that WWE probably even looking at right now.
This is not even close to a war. SmackDown is getting more viewers than the main show of AEW.
Right. Yeah, their B show's doing better than their A show. But also, you know who WWE's biggest competitor is?
Who?
Monday Night Football when it's on. That hurts them.
Yes.
That's one of their big things that hurts. But see, that was the crazy thing during the Attitude Era. Raw was beating Monday Night Football sometime.
Yeah, that's
that never
insane.
happened again.
No.
But at the time, they were so people was turning away from Monday Night Football to watch Nitro and Raw.
That's interesting. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else?
No, I think we'll have I think next week the podcast will be rather wrestling heavy, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Because we'll have just seen the show and we'll have all the information and hopefully you'll put it in your phone, tap everything in so we got all the results and everything. I'm ready for football to get going. This is hard. Going a long time without it.
Yes.
Baseball.
You know what we almost forgot to do?
What's that?
And I'm going to do it right now.
I'll give the
UFL scores.
The one thing that I will say, let you do that, and you and I talked a little bit about it, but isn't the amount of injuries in MLB crazy so far this year?
It is.
I've heard that being. I just walked in the room the other day, and one of the shows that was on, and they're on the audio playing. All I heard them say was, "We'll keep up at this rate, but July nobody's gonna be able to play."
That's potential. All right, so on Friday night, the Battle Hawks beat the Arlington Renegades 12-6. Saturday, the Houston Roughnecks beat the Memphis Showboats 21-20. The early game today, Michigan beat the DC Defenders 38-14, and the nightcap, Birmingham Stallions beat the San Antonio Brahmas 26-3. And a quick look at the current standings.
I didn't get to watch any of them support them.
The XFL conference is looking good. The DC Defenders is 4-2. The St. Louis Battlehawks at 4-2. The Arlington Renegades at 500, 3-3, and the San Antonio Brahmas at 1-5. Over on the USFL conference, the Birmingham Stallions at 4-2. The Michigan Panthers at 4-2. The Houston Roughnecks at 3-3, and the Memphis Showboats at 1-5.
Do they all partake in the playoffs?
No. I believe it's top 2 teams, and
I thought maybe they just set up a tournament.
No.
You think they do at least the top 4?
I can actually pull up the postseason picture last year. So the last year, the postseason picture was. So it was the top 2 in each.
Top 2.
Top 2 in each conference.
Okay, so 4 teams. That's what I was
Yes. Yes, top 2.
Basically, you'll have a conference championship and then a championship.
Yes.
2 conference championships and then a championship. Which for 8 teams, that's okay. I think that's all right. I'm kind of impressed with how the UFL's doing so far, with their way they're doing things. I like some of their rules. I like some of their things.
I do too.
I'm pretty happy with that part. I just hope they'll stay around with this. And shame on me, I should be watching a game and support them.
Absolutely. All I gotta say is there's another game I am eyeing. So more news on that coming up. Not next week, but week after next. The 9th. Not the 9th. Week 9. I'm kind of eyeing that game.
That's the San Antonio at St. Louis?
Yes. That would be St. Louis's last home game.
That actually should be a pretty easy win for them, shouldn't it?
It should be.
San Antonio is one of the weaker teams, isn't it?
Yes. So I'm kind of eyeing that game. So we'll see how things go there. And
DC started off real hot, didn't they?
Yes. Yes,
They were
they
playing
did.
tonight, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's all I have for you this week.
Oh, they're 4-2, yeah. So, alrighty, well, it's been a good podcast, a little shorter of a podcast this week, but hey, it nevertheless it's good to be on here with everybody. Just we hope you subscribe on here. We appreciate your follow, and we will be back next week, and this will be wrestling heavy next week because we will be at the WWE Backlash in St. Louis. We're excited about that. So, y'all have a good week.
Talk to you later.